Alright, levels and curves in Photoshop. So when you're adjusting the contrast, so light, dark, you can go to brightness and contrast, but it has a limited effect and you can't tweak accurately some of the dark and the light areas. So I highly recommend looking at levels and curves. We'll look at levels first. Levels is made up of a graph, as you can see here. Basically you can see that there are the dark areas, or the dark pixels are on the left, and so when you move this little arrow, you can see that the darkness increases. So if you have very little darkness, you can add more by moving it across here, and then same with the light areas, you can do that by moving across here. So levels is quite simple, and you have the grays in the middle. Levels is quite simple to use and creates effective contrasts. Okay, so we'll just click cancel, but otherwise if you're happy with this you can click OK. The other thing you can look at, if you go image, adjustments, curves, is curves. Now as you can see, you have another graph, you've got the display of pixels right there, okay, of the darkness and the lightness. You see this line going straight across. Now just below is where the dark pixels are, okay, and just above here, where my mouse is circling, is where the light pixels are, and then you've got the mid-tones in the middle. Now if you move the mid-tones, say for example, and drag it up, you can see that it gets lighter. So you're adding more light to the pixels. If you drag it back down, you're adding more dark to the pixels, especially. So since I've grabbed the mid-tones, this is where it's going. Okay. So basically light, dark, you've got the light pixels, the mid-tone pixels, and also the dark pixels. Now what creates an interesting contrast is, if you just shift that down there, is you create a subtle S curve. Usually it creates quite an interesting effect in contrast and brings things out. So as you can see, the dark areas here on my left have come out quite nice, but the light areas are still too light. So what you can do is you can decrease and pull down the light areas just subtly, and you can also adjust the top part here, but as you can see it doesn't have a very desirable effect, so I'm going to leave it at the top there. Okay, so you can do very fine tweaks to the mid-tones, to the dark and the light areas to really give you a picture an interesting look. Okay, and create interesting effects. Interesting contrast. Okay, so if you're happy with it, then you just press OK. So those are the two parts that you want to be using. So you got image, adjustments, levels, and curves.